So I'd like to introduce Mariette. She's the fund manager at Curie Capital, based in Amsterdam. So over to you, Mariette.
Thank you, Holley. Yes, I'm a managing partner at Curie Capital, which is an angel investment fund in life sciences. And my background is actually a master's in medical science. And since then on, I've been working in business in total for 25 years now, of which the first 15 years have been in the biotech companies and also working to spinning out biotech companies from universities and heading a spin-off company myself as an entrepreneur. And the last 10 years have been investment business. So the last 3 years at Curie Capital, and before that I was an investment manager at Bomb Capital, where I invested in total 25 million euros in over 10 innovative new startups. So in total, I've done more than 15 investments in very promising companies developing medical devices and new medicine for unmet medical needs.
Excellent. And how would you say your career has moved through the years? What advice would you give for those aspiring to move into this world?
Yeah, I think it's a good combination to take the experience from the business side into the knowledge as an investor, and also representing the investors' interests in the board. Mm-hmm. So you can help with your own business experience to have support and be using your network for all kinds of applications or improvements in the company to support the entrepreneur.
Yeah. And what would you suggest in terms of, say, specialist versus a generalist background?
I think in life sciences, both in the business side as in the investment side, it's always specialists involved.
Yeah.
People always have a medical background because it's very important to grow the business and the value of the companies, knowing what the science is about.
Yeah, it all stems from that, of course. Yeah. So in terms of your particular area, what would you suggest is the shifts in the investment market? What have you experienced in terms of trends, and what do you think the future holds?
There are a lot of companies have had difficulties, let's say, in the period of the pandemic, but of course, our business in the development of new medicine has only gotten a boost. And at the same time, there is a development in the economy that the interest is very low. So let's say pension funds and wealthy people are, taking their money to investment funds like the ones in life sciences. So there is a large amount of capital available to be invested also. Yeah. The trend that we do see now is that these investors, let's say the professional life science investors, are investing bigger tickets because they are, having bigger funds. And they tend to do that in a later stage where the risk has been minimalized. And this can only be done by seed investors, like, for instance, Curie Capital, and also other more like government type of regional funds take on earlier risk to allow these ventures to come to these, to meet these criteria of the bigger funds. This could be to have their product scaled up or to have more risk mitigated on the side effects of potential new medicine. So there's a growing need for seed capital funds.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. And in terms of the actual industries themselves, the technologies, med devices, for instance, and these particular innovative therapeutics that you invest in, what would you say you've witnessed in terms of shifts and trends?
Well, we invest in both medical devices and medicine. And I think medical devices has a lower capital need and a lower, maybe, let's say, return for the investors, whereas biotech is high capital intensive. You probably need more than 100 million of capital to get a product, market approved, or even more than that. But usually you can find a pharma partner along the way. But you can, if all goes right, you can get a higher return on investment. But that is the risk reward difference between the two sectors. Time to market is also playing a role there, because you can get a medical device approved more quickly.
Yeah, through to the FDA. And in terms of within the therapeutic sector, obviously that's where I focus myself most specifically. Would you say there's a big difference between, say, APIs and then obviously these new advanced therapies, for instance, that are coming through, these cell and gene therapies?
Yeah, there's always some new exciting therapeutic advances. I myself have worked in the beginning of my career with company. Well, at first, even the biologics were advanced medicine. I started off my first job at Genzyme, product management, but then came gene therapy, and this has been a long struggle to get within the interest of investors, because there were some serious trial events, really limiting maybe that big pharma would buy such a company, so then investors don't invest. So that has now been overcome, this hurdle, and this, of course, cell therapy is the next one now, with all these CAR T cell therapies being of interest to investors also. But Curie Capital has identified new areas of new medicine. This is, for instance, our company Citral is working on an antibody to target netosis, which is a phenomena causing many diseases. And there's also other interesting areas, like, for instance, the senescent cells, which are a cause of many age-related diseases, including cancer metastases. So these are also scientific topics which are now being interesting to investors.
Yes, it's almost good to go into the grey areas where perhaps not everyone's moving, and identify those unmet needs in the kind of, around where all of the traffic's going. So thank you for that. And I think one last thing I'd like to cover really is just, obviously you've had a very long career in this space, over 10 years. How have you seen things shift between, say, female representation in the industry throughout your career?
Yeah. I think in general, in let's say the development of new medical devices or new medicine, there's always women involved. But in the, let's say, the role of CEO, it's still mostly male dominated. But on the other hand, if you look at the investors, since the 10 years I'm now in investment management, the first 5 years was I was one of the guys, but the last 5 years it's much more women around me also taking up partner roles. So I think that is taking a natural increase, which is very nice. And therefore, they can also take on board roles. So in the boardroom, you see more females representing VCs, but not so much yet let's say, the board members who are bringing on their previous CEO experience, because they are lagging behind. But that will have its reasons. I hope that also finds maybe a slower but natural growth in the future.
Yeah, certainly. And have you experienced throughout your career particular opportunities or schemes or companies where, the opportunity for women to be introduced to these sorts of opportunities? Have you experienced much of that through your career?
I see a lot of, empowerment or encouraging initiatives around me. I see also a lot of dashboards scoring how funds do on the gender diversity or on diversity as a whole. Also, government funding or EIF funding from Europe is also requiring that to be promoted by the investor actively. So that is encouraging. But I must also admit that in the business of life sciences, I think it's important to get the right person to lead the company and make it a success. So we cannot discriminate too much on gender, but we need the best person and the best profile.
Yeah, certainly. It's about getting the right person for the role, right? But ensuring that people have equal opportunities and an equal platform to demonstrate what they can do and maximize on their skills. But thank you ever so much for this interview. It's been absolutely superb, and it's been great learning more about you and your industry in general. And yeah, thank you ever so much.
Yeah, thank you. Bye-bye.